Rachel always felt eyes on her when she walked home in the evening. The narrow path through the forest that connected her small house to the city was dark and overgrown, but it was the fastest way home. For several weeks, she had an unsettling feeling that something or someone was following her. It started small. The snap of a branch behind her, the flicker of movement in her peripheral vision, the sudden chill that made her quicken her pace. Every night she told herself it was her imagination, just animals rustling between the trees. But deep down she knew it wasn't. Something was there, lurking in the darkness, watching her. One evening, after she had closed late at the cafe where she worked, the feeling was stronger than ever. As she walked along the wooded path, the air seemed heavier and the shadows thicker. Her heart pounded, her breath quickened. She could hear soft footsteps behind her, too deliberate to be wind. Rachel stopped. She couldn't take it anymore. She turned, her flashlight shaking in her hand as she scanned the dark trees. "Who's there?" she called in a calmer voice than she felt. The forest was silent. She turned back, deciding to go faster, when suddenly a figure emerged from behind the trees. It was tall, much taller than any human, its body lurking in the shadows, hunched over, with limbs too long and too thin. His face, if there was one, was covered by the hood of a ragged cloak that seemed to blend in with the night itself. Rachel froze, paralyzed with fear. It was it, the being that followed her. Her mind was screaming at her to run, but her body was. The creature took a slow, deliberate step towards her. Rachel's throat tightened, her legs like stone. But then something unexpected happened. It did not attack. It didn't happen. Instead, with a slow, almost hesitant movement, he reached into the folds of his cloak and held out his hand. In the creature's long, clawed fingers was a single flower, a pale, glowing flower that seemed to shimmer in the dark, its petals delicate and ethereal. Unlike anything she had, Rachel blinked, her fear momentarily clouded by confusion. The creature stood motionless, holding out a flower to her. Her heart still pounding, she reached out. Her trembling hand took the flower. As soon as she touched it, warmth spread over her fingers, and the glow of the petals seemed to explain. The creature straightened up, its posture almost lightened. He stepped back, his hood tilted slightly as if to nod. Then, without a sound, he turned and disappeared into the forest. Melting back into the shadows, Rachel stood stunned, holding the glowing flower. The forest fell silent again, but the terror that gripped her vanished, replaced by a strange sense of calm. The next night, as she walked the path again, she felt a presence. But this time it wasn't fear. It was something else. A quiet company, always imperceptible, watches her. And every night a new flower was waiting for her. A gift from a monster in the forest. Not a threat, but a guardian who protects her in the shadows, offering her the rarest flowers she would ever see.